What's going on, my PT peeps, my Walking Dead family, my fighters? I'm One Eye Bry, also known as PT. Don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 16, the Season 7 finale. Obviously, spoiler warning for all things Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and Madison's return. So Madison came back in the Season 7 finale. Are you liking it, loving it, disagreeing with it? Does it make sense? Does it not? Either way, it is what it is. Fear the Walking Dead has been a crazy show from the beginning, but ultimately, this episode focuses on Madison's return, also Morgan. All we see is Madison, Morgan, and Baby Mo, but it starts with this, and it basically reminds me of the Negan lineup with the van, but it's basically Madison going to meet this group that saved her. And it's not really explained. They do the bare minimum to tell us that she was saved by this group, and then we see Morgan. He's asleep in his raft treehouse tent thing, and it's kind of cool. I don't know how you get in or out. I don't know how he did this, but I guess you could. But I guess you have plenty of time in the zombie apocalypse to figure stuff out. I don't know where he got all the rope, but he has supplies, and Morgan is very resourceful. But either way, Morgan is in the raft with Baby Mo. He tries to call some people over the radio, and no one answers. Baby Mo is hungry because he doesn't have enough supplies. I don't know how long it's been here. I don't know how much time has passed since when he left, and from when he was in the water in Season 7, Episode 15, and now 16. But he picks up Mo, and Mo is basically hungry, and he doesn't know what to do because he doesn't have any food, so he decides to leave the raft and go find food for Baby Mo. But as he's walking around with Baby Mo in the bag and the radio, I guess he has enough batteries to last a long time, he comes across these crazy walker heads. Well, I guess they're walkers that are buried in the sand, and he's like, what's going on here? And it's a kind of cool idea. It's kind of silly and kind of funny, but these walkers were people at some point, and they died or killed or bit and whatever. But ultimately, Bayou Boyd's in Louisiana. So they made it to Louisiana. Well, at least Morgan did, and Madison. But Morgan goes into a building to find supplies for Baby Mo. He comes across oxygen tanks that we'll see later on that are connected with Madison, and Madison needs oxygen. He goes to the Sanderson property, and we meet Ava, who used to live here, or lived here, and was born here. She is pregnant, or at least we think she's pregnant, but it turns out she was pregnant. You see the red in the flowers, Ava's gonna die. But ultimately, we see Morgan and Baby Mo leave Ava alone. No harm, no foul. He goes away. Goes back to his raft at night, calls on the radio again, and again, he doesn't hear anyone reply to his messages or radio transmissions. As he's there, he hears someone call out for help, that he needs help, that they need help. He opens the raft zipper, and there's this guy standing there. How are you standing there? Do you have a ladder? Did you jump up there? Are you a superhero? Poof. He's knocked out, Morgan that is. He is taken to the beach where he's going to be put in the sand. You see a nice CGI crab, looks great, I pinch. But ultimately we see Morgan is going to be put in a hole, and for some reason these people want to bury people in holes. And these people think that Morgan is a collector for Padre, but they also know that Madison is the person that took their kids, or eggs, as the people from Padre call the kids that they take. Wouldn't you know that you never saw Morgan before? But I guess they just think he's one of the collectors because Madison is collector number 6. And I guess they just think they're working together. But these are the parents of the kids that Madison and I guess the other collectors took. But either way, Morgan is thrown into a hole. And as Morgan's in the hole, you hear a bunch of gunfire. All these people are killed. Baby Mo is fine. Don't worry. But Morgan takes off the wrap bag thing over his head, and he looks up and he sees a woman or a person tending to Baby Mo. The person turns around, dun 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 dun, or it's a big reveal of Madison returning. Again, we already knew this was going to happen from the trailers and also Talking Dead. So Madison and Morgan finally meet. It's crazy. This is the first time they met. When Madison was killed off in Season 4, only to be brought back, yada yada yada. Ultimately, Madison is the different person. She takes Baby Mo. She also takes hits of oxygen, like, yeah, that's the good stuff, because she has some lung deficiency or problem from, I guess, the fire at the stadium. It's not really explained. Madison fires 2 shots at Morgan, 2 different shots, and then she runs away. Ha ha ha, I got you, kid. See you later. But ultimately, Madison is a different person. She was all about her family. Now she's kind of still all about her family, and she's still kind of terrible. Morgan watches on as Madison runs away with Baby Mo, and Madison calls her people she's working for Padre. So Padre is a group not a place. I guess. It's still not explained. It was hinted at from season 7A early on, but we see a dock, marina, port, whatever you want to call this, and Madison takes Baby Mo down there. So Madison, we find out, has been all about collecting and stealing children. Padre is all about stealing, taking, kidnapping, whatever you want to call it, kids. They don't want the families, they just want the kids. That's kind of weird, right? I don't know what's up with this. Also, Padre is an acronym. What does it actually mean? But Madison has a bunch of baby food and stuff here at the Port Dock Marina thing. She writes down BG, whatever, in the line 758. So she's took a bunch of kids over the time she's been doing this. So she's pretty proficient at it. You see radios, you see supplies, you see food. And again, it's all like baby stuff. Like you don't take older kids, you just take babies. I don't know. It's not really explained. It's one of those things Fear the Walking Dead does. It's half explained. Baby Mo is crying, and then Madison has to leave. It's just like, you leave the baby here for story. Would you really leave a baby in a crib like that? What if something happens? Eggs, or babies, they call them eggs on here, are pretty important for these Padre people. Madison is walking alone in the woods. She comes across a group of walkers. She takes out her big hammer, spins around, and takes out the walkers. So basically Madison is worthy and she has her own hammer. I guess she's like Thor, right? But every time she exerts herself, she has to take a hit of oxygen. And that's not really how it works, I guess. Maybe she has emphysema or COPD or some other lung deficiency problem. Since she was rescued at the stadium, it's not really explained at all, and I doubt it will be because they killed this character off in season 4 only to get rid of that and retcon it and bring it back around where the character is still alive somehow, some way. But she goes to find the oxygen tanks that aren't there. Morgan knew she would come back there for it, and he basically captures her. So Morgan and Madison talk the rest of the episode, and it's basically Morgan's going to explain what happened to Alicia and Nick, but not at first. It's going to take time. Madison, we're going to find out that was rescued by these Padre people. We don't get to see where Padre is. We see this weird storage container and someone talking through the intercom radio system. So we never get to see who this person is. Is it Rick? Is it Major General Beale? Is it someone that makes sense? I doubt it's going to make sense, but season 8 has gone far too long in this craziness of the story of Fear the Walking Dead, and people are kind of annoyed with it, especially that Alicia is gone and 715 was her last episode. So Madison returns one episode later, not to reunite with her daughter. Doesn't really make sense. Madison takes Morgan back to the dock Port Marina thing, and Baby Mo is gone. The Padre people came and took Baby Mo back to where they are. So Baby Mo's not seeing the rest of the episode. So Madison and Morgan have to come up with a plan. How are we going to get Baby Mo back? The only way to do that is to basically get another kid and exchange the kid for the kid. But that's not how it works. Padre is an acronym, obviously there. Collector number 6 is who Madison is. So how many collectors are there? Not sure. It's not really explained. But at least we're kind of getting some answers about Madison, even though she returns to the show after she was killed off. It's not really going to make sense in my opinion. But Morgan and Madison fight a couple times in the episode, argue a couple times, but a walker comes around. It's like throwing a walker. Walkers really aren't the problem on this show at all. And as Morgan takes out the walker, Madison is able to grab the hammer from her backpack that Morgan is wearing that has the oxygen tanks in it. She swings at Morgan, and it's Morgan versus Madison. And Morgan should easily take out Madison for a couple reasons. One, Madison shouldn't be that strong because she has a breathing problem, whatever that diagnosis actually is. But it's a fight between kind of two heroes kind of thing, like a superhero battle. Madison gets taken down by Morgan, and Morgan has her in a compromised position. And as Morgan has her here, Morgan sees the prison-style tats of Alicia and Nick on Madison's arms. So he puts 2 and 2 together, Nick and Alicia. It could be anybody, right? It doesn't have to be Madison Clark. We know it is, but Morgan puts 2 and 2 together, and he can't believe that she's alive, and he never saw her before, and they talked, and basically it's going to be, the story continues that it's actually Madison, and they need to work together. And every time Madison takes a hit of oxygen, it's just hilarious to me. Is she like Darth Vader now, that she needs to hit an oxygen breathing apparatus? She's probably just use a nasal cannula that supplies oxygen to her all the time, but that wouldn't be as cool, right? But then we see Madison time and time again. We see the flashbacks in the episodes, and she's taken a lot of kids, evidently. So they go back to the Sanderson house, and they see Ava. So Ava, we'll find out later on that Ava had a child, and Madison took that child, and Ava kind of was setting up things that Madison or somebody would come back around again, and she would be reunited with her child. Madison tells Morgan, well, she doesn't really say it, but we know that the families and parents will be killed, but the kids will stay with Padre. As they're there at the Sanderson house, we see the group looking for Madison to get even with her. We see Ava fall down by this walker in the vines. As she struggles with the walker, Madison comes in and smashes the walker with this huge hammer. Or is it a mallet? I'm not sure, but it's kind of a good weapon. It would definitely smash some skulls, that's for sure. But we see that Ava has a cut in her stomach from the vines. How crazy are these vines? So they have to check the baby because they think Ava is pregnant. Turns out that she's not. So as they're helping Ava, they go to the crypt or mausoleum on the property here at the Sanderson house. So as they're inside this crypt, Madison has a fetal heart monitor, ultrasound type of thing, and she's trying to find a heartbeat. And there is no heartbeat. No heartbeat, no heartbeat, because there's no baby in there. So they come to the idea that Ava wasn't pregnant. She was pregnant previously, but Madison basically tells us that Ava wasn't pregnant and it wasn't going to work because the Padre people would have checked her and checked her and checked her and checked her every day until they found no baby, and then they would have got rid of Ava. Why wouldn't you keep the woman around? I'm not sure. People are a resource, right? Negan. But ultimately we see Madison and Morgan and Ava in this mausoleum crypt thing, and they're talking, and several times Morgan puts his battle axe to Madison's throat, and I'm like, Madison wouldn't return, so Morgan just to kill her in the same episode. But I'm like, come on, get rid of this lady, right? I know Madison fans are gonna hate that, but she's just terrible. So many times she talks about she didn't want to find her kids and she was over it and she's a different person, but then she gets upset finding out about Nick's death and Alicia, what happened to her. Then we see a flashback again, her playing with a toy car. So she sees a bunch of kids' toys because she's taking kids time and time again from Padre. That's what her goal is, or her job is. Then we see that Ava smashes the oxygen tank and it goes Looney Tunes style, like around the room with oxygen flying all over the place. As Morgan and Madison are distracted or taking cover, Ava comes up with the idea to smash into her grandfather's grave with the axe mallet thing, because there's a shotgun in this guy's arms, right? There's no casket. Wouldn't there be a casket as well there? Or I guess you just put the body in there. But Ava reaches in and grabs the shotgun that her grandfather was buried with because he didn't want to be unprepared if he wasn't going to get into heaven. We see the oxygen tank is out of gas. Then we see she points the shotgun at Madison and Morgan, and she's not messing around. So Ava wants them to do whatever she wants them to do, but then it gets tense, and then it's also time for them to talk some more. So it's a lull point in the episode to have the backstory and the other story, and then to communicate and talk about it. So Ava just magically points her shotgun down, and she's like, go ahead, guys, talk it out, because that's what carries for the story, or that's the time for this in the story. So basically Morgan and Madison talk about Alicia and Nick and that and here and there. And, it's just one of those things that Madison finally found out about Alicia and Nick, and the people are out there looking for Madison. The walkers have surrounded the mausoleum crypt thing, and they're stuck there. Then as Madison is there telling her story and talking, we see the backstory some more about her prison tats from Padre, and that she got Alicia and Nick tattooed on her because I guess it reminds her of them, and that Padre wanted her to find her kids to bring them to Padre, but then she didn't want to do it. I don't know. It's just a far-fetched thing that we never get to see Padre. We get to see some storage container with some intercom system, and Madison talks to these people. But then Madison doesn't want to find her kids. Well, I guess kid, because Alicia's the only one left alive. Or is she? It's still up for debate. But Alicia, Nick, Madison, they're never going to see each other again, I guess. Or maybe the final season if Alicia and Madison will be reunited. So Morgan decides to let the group in that's coming after Madison. And it's finally getting to the point where these people are going to capture Madison and make her pay for what she did. This guy takes off his hood thing, and you think he'd be disfigured. Nope, he's just some white guy with bad hair who's bald. So they go to take Madison to the beach, and I can't tell if Madison's happy, sad, angry, or what, but as a joke. But we see that Madison is going to be taken to the beach to pay for what she did, right? So Morgan is like, okay, do what you got to do, because there's no baby to trade. Padre, I love this mask, by the way. It reminds me of a Scarecrow DC. But we see that Morgan is sitting there with Ava, and they're talking. And these group of people come back to say they took Madison to the beach. So I don't know how much time has passed. And they come back and want Morgan to join them. Love the mask of the guy. You clearly see this guy's face there. That's a terrible mask. Or sheet covering. And Morgan's like, nah, I'm good. They found Padre. They found the book. And is that a 2 or a 6? Is that the same book? That was Madison's. Can't tell. But they give a mask to Ava. Ava's going to join them. And stay out of my way. If you're not going to help us, just stay out of our way. And Morgan's like, okay, I'm just not going to mess with this. You do what you got to do. I'll be over here. And I'm not trying to cause any problems. And they go away. Ava and Morgan talk. Morgan tells Ava, you don't have to do this. And she doesn't, but she goes with them. Of course, they make a point to talk about her child and to be reunited with this stuffed animal, this turtle worm thing. And it's really a point of emphasis for like 10 seconds of this episode. And this is what this show does. We focus on this stuff that's not that meaningful. Like Ava is not that meaningful of a character, but we're supposed to feel bad that she gets killed off later in the episode. It's just one of those things where we just met this character. Then we see Madison, and this just looks hilarious. And they're supposed to be doing this because it's a Midwestern torture thing for movies. It just looks funny. It's like a bad beach day where your kids bury you in the sand. And that's all I see here. But as Madison is in the sand, these walkers are coming out from the water. And I guess Padre killed them. And I'm not sure how much time has passed. But Madison is struggling to breathe. And she remembers all she did with taking the kids and the stuffed animals and another kid and the stuffed animal. You don't see any kids. You see stuffed animal, stuffed animal, stuffed animal. And it's a nice Easter egg callback to Shiva. And as the walkers are coming towards Madison, the one up front just trips and falls. I don't know how, why, but trips and falls and starts crawling towards Madison. Building that drama up, right? And the walker's crawling, and Madison's like, I'm stuck in the sand, I can't get out. Like, it just looks hilarious. And the walker and Madison make eye contact, and then whoosh, saved by Morgan. You didn't kill the brain here, you just chopped off the front of the face, so I guess they can't bite you. Morgan kills the two walkers, and then Morgan decides to slowly dig out Madison with his hands. And all I was thinking about is Madison doesn't help at all. Morgan's like, you don't deserve to go out this way, and I'm going to keep digging and talking, and it's going to be slow and dramatic, and Madison's upset. But come on, help out a little bit. Your shoulders are free. You can wiggle out of it, and it's just funny. But Morgan runs away to get the bottles of oxygen because Madison has struggled to breathe, and then we have more walkers come out of the water. So we see gunshots in their stomach, and Padre evidently killed them. Morgan comes back around. It's very dramatic. And as Morgan kills the walkers, he magically sees Ava, because we see the stuffed animal attached to her belt. And again, it's supposed to be sad, like, oh, there's Ava. But we just met this character. There's not really that much meaning behind the characters. And they did this a lot this season. We met a character, and they die in the same episode, like the red shirts from Star Trek. But Morgan struggles because he sees Ava, and he's like, oh, man, come on. This girl died already. I had a big attachment to her. Then 3 more walkers come out of the water. It's like walkers everywhere, and they're coming towards Madison. And Madison is struggling in the sand, and it's very dramatic. And Morgan falls, trips in the sand, and Walker, Ava is like, I gotcha, sucker. And Morgan and Ava wrestle. And again, it's very dramatic. Morgan is really struggling here, and it's made for the drama. And as Morgan and Ava are fighting against each other, Madison is reaching for the hammer, just happens to be right there, reaching for the hammer, still reaching for the hammer, and then she finally grabs it and goes, ding, 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 takes out the 3 walkers like Three Stooges style. They all fall down, and I don't know how much force she would be able to have against the walkers, but she turns the hammer to the pointy side, or the mallet, I guess, right? And she's like, ugh, 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 dish, and you just look at the faces, ugh, gotcha, ugh, gotcha, like. But these would be freshly turned walkers. The skull wouldn't be that weak. It would take a couple smacks to get into the skull and the brain. The skull would be pretty hard. And I don't know how much force she was generating. Maybe it's nitpicking, but I just thought about that too. It just looks funny. But Madison takes out these three stooges with her mallet hammer thing. She kills Walker Ava and she saves Madison. Madison needs the good stuff and she takes a hit of oxygen because she's out of breath and she's like, yeah, okay, I'm good. And it's going to be kind of annoying just to me. She's trying to be Darth Vader. And then Morgan and Madison have to come up with an idea. Like, they don't have a kid to trade. What are they going to do? And as it's just Morgan and Madison together, he thinks of the radio cassette player that's Grace. So he thinks the idea of, I'm going to tell where everybody is. So Grace and everybody and June and Luciana can be all reunited with Madison. But you got to wait until season 8 for that. So they walk down the steps to the port marina thing. And now the Padre people are here. And it's all a bunch of dudes, which I think is weird. Padre, acronym Padre, what does it actually mean? So there's the 3 guys and they got the boat. And Madison's like, yeah, he's with me. He's a collector and he's got something to work on and he's got something to trade. And the guy's like, what you got, man? He's like, well, I don't have a baby or an egg or anything like that, but I have people in rafts in the water sailing out to sea. So basically Morgan and Madison are going to be reunited with their group in season 8. It's just about wrapping up this season, and this doesn't feel like a finale. I wish this was an earlier episode so we didn't waste our time with the back half of season 7. If Madison came around in season 7, episode 10 or 11, it would have been better, maybe save this season. But everybody gets on the boat raft thing here and they sail away to a bigger boat, cruiser ship in the water. So Morgan asks about Padre and Madison doesn't know where Padre is because she's never seen it. They're blindfolded, and as they're being taken out to sea, there's just another boat that's pretty close to them, and they get on the boat and I guess they sail somewhere else. So I'm not sure where they're going, but this boat ship cruiser thing looks a lot like the same cruiser that we saw on The Walking Dead season 10 in Michonne's last episode. I'm not saying it's the same boat, it could be the same model or what, but Fear the Walking Dead needs a lot of help in my opinion. It would be great if Michonne showed up. She probably won't, but we can only hope, right? But Madison's back, and I don't think it's going to save the show. I'd rather have Alicia on the show. But let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Season 7 is a wrap. Thank goodness it's over. Hopefully we'll get some information about this guy in The Walking Dead soon. Tales of The Walking Dead will be here this summer. Thank you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Like, share, subscribe. Support the PT channel when you can. You can do that by becoming a patron, member, and other ways. But thank you guys. We truly appreciate all love and support. Stay safe. And as always, tell them Daryl.